Oh, sweetheart, I can't believe our little boy's 10. I thought he'd be out of bed by now. He was so excited last night.
Oh, he must have tuckered himself out staying up so late. I can't believe I can't believe it. He's grown up.
The thing is, I think from the day that I first called you my wife, Mrs. Alex from the Game Club Pod, I never envisaged us with a 10-year-old Tim who's going to be going out into the world.
Yeah, it's amazing the things that professor can do for us, isn't it?
Ugh, it's my birthday.
Is that?
Oh,
Was that?
Tim,
that
you
was
don't sound well, honey. Are you okay?
That was a lovely song. Tim, have you been, since you turned 10, have you started smoking cigarettes?
Oh, honey, I'm ready to catch a poke in it. You're just like your father.
Well, Tim, now that it's your 10th birthday, you know what that means, because we're in the Pokemon world.
Cake and presents, hopefully.
Well, after the cake and presents, you're going to have to go and get a cat from the weird man down the road and use it to start fighting other animals while you set off on a very, very, very long journey with very little or no communication from us.
What?
Here's your running shoes. Here's your phone. Here, I'm going to save you money. When you fight other people, I'm going to save you money. Make sure you send me 10%.
There's interest.
There's always interest.
You haven't paid rent up till now, you little shit.
I'm 10. How am I meant to pay rent?
Right, happy birthday. Happy birthday, Tim. Out the door. Go find the weird man.
I don't want to go outside.
Bye.
I'll see Professor Hardcock, I mean Elm.
This episode of the Game Club podcast contains spoilers for Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Hello and welcome to the Game Club Pod. I'm Tim, Adwembembo and everything, and I'm joined by my usual co-host, Joey Fitz.
Hello.
Hello, and I'm joined by my other co-host, Alex.
Hello.
Hello. We're here to talk about Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, but before we get into the episode, I want to hear what's your guys' favourite Pokemon?
Are we going into the episode? I haven't had a spoiler warning yet.
We've had 4. I'm not doing another.
Favorite Pokemon?
Favorite Pokemon?
Fire Red.
Oh, I mean, I just meant like actual Pokemon, not the Pokemon game.
You said Pokemon game.
What is your favorite pocket monster?
Oh, did you? Oh.
Yes.
All of them. They're all great.
They're all great, are they? Especially Klefki, the set of keys.
The correct answer is Gengar.
Gengar's a shout.
Tim likes Haunter better than Gengar.
Haunter is my absolute favourite. And while I was in Japan, I only managed to find one keychain of him, and that was it.
Magikarp, sheer uselessness.
But he evolves into something great.
Yeah, but I used to stop him evolving in the games. I just liked having the complete slug with me.
What was your guys' first Pokemon game? I mean, obviously, Joey and we played Red and Blue.
I think we had Blue on the Game Boy first.
Yeah, and then we definitely had Yellow at one point.
Yep.
I don't remember who I was saying this to the other day. It might have even just been Payne. I have a very distinct memory of Dad somehow working out emulation and getting a Japanese ROM of Soul Silver or Heart. No, it was Heart Gold because I remember the title screen. Before the game was out in Europe, and us at least making our way to the Red Gyarados, we might have even beaten the game pre-European release.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, no, I have a very distinct memory of that.
That sounds like a lovely, distinct dream you had. Alex, what was your first Pokemon game?
Pokemon Red, Game Boy Color. You know,
Nice.
had the good old days when you had the little. Do you remember the little plastic screen that you had to put over your screen to have a nightlight?
Yeah, with a
I had one
magnified
of
lens.
them.
Often
Yeah, with a
didn't do much
magnified
apart
lens.
from just reflect a light back at you.
Yeah,
Just made it distorted and difficult to see, but by God, it was high tech at the time.
and it took 9 volt batteries.
Yeah, that was good. Do you remember when Game Boy released a printer, a camera and a printer, and you could print these awful black and white grainy ass photos of your face?
Yeah, it was like dot matrix printer, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that was it. It was utterly useless.
Utter wank. Although there was a band that actually used that camera and printer as their album cover, but I don't remember what the band was called.
Well, there you go.
It's a cool story on my part, I know.
Thank you for all the detail.
You're so welcome. We're here to talk about Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. It's a game that came out on the Nintendo DS. It's a remake of Gen 2, Gold and Silver, for those who don't know. It released on September 12th, 2009, was developed by Game Freak and published by Nintendo and the Pokemon Company. IGN gave it an 8.5 out of 10. Metacritic, it's got a score of 87%, and Eurogamer gave it a score 9 out of 10. But I'm going to go to initial thoughts with Alex. What did you think?
Playing this was a nice little nostalgia trip. It was. We all have memories of playing it when we were younger, and this was just more of that. I forgot, and I think I said this to you, Tim. I forgot how much of a time sink the game is, because you can boot it up and think, "Oh, I'll play for an hour," and then 3 hours later, and you've done next to bugger all, except level your stupid little Rattata by a couple of levels. But yeah, no, I've got fond memories with Pokemon from being younger. Fallen off in the recent generations because I'll be honest, they're not doing much to make it worthwhile anymore. But back in ye olde days when we were young'uns, it was a great time. And it was a great time going back to it.
Good stuff. Joey, your thoughts?
I thought I would really enjoy this, Tim, because I have played Pokemon Red and Blue and Yellow fairly recently. I think I enjoyed that I was quite familiar with those games, and this game being completely new, it just, do you know what it really made me feel? Is that Pokemon games are so slow. Everything is so slow. And I wish my DS, which legitimate DS I have, with a legitimate copy of the game, nothing emulated here. No.
No, sir.
I wish it had a speed up button, because I think if I played this at 2 times speed, it would feel slow. But my God, when you said we only had to play 10 hours, I didn't envisage that being like 2 gyms. It was ridiculous. I think the game is good for what it is. It's a Pokemon game. You know what to expect.
Yeah.
I think the designs and the pixel art designs on them are always good. They always look fun. They're always colourful and bright. And I think the quality of life improvements from Gen 1 stuff are evident.
Yep.
But I'm not going to go and finish it.
No?
I think I would need another 400 hours to get through all of it. But yeah, it was okay. It wasn't my favourite time, but it wasn't my worst.
I mean, it's fair. Like you said it there. It's a Pokemon game. You know what to expect.
But I'm not like Alex. I didn't play Silver and Gold when they first came out, so this isn't nostalgia for me. This is just a memory of what I enjoyed about Pokemon Red and Blue.
Yeah, I mean, I consider myself a decent Pokemon fan in that I understand a lot about the series. I don't know everything, but I started out with Red and Blue, and then I didn't touch the games until Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, which were the 3DS Gen 3 remakes. So quite a long time afterwards. And this was the first time I had gone back to actually play Heart Gold or Soul Silver. And I say because to to avoid any possible talks of illegitimate gaming here, my save for my original 6 hours got corrupted, and so I decided to start over from Soul Silver and work on Heart Gold instead, just to see the version differences. Spoilers, basically one's day, one's night, and there are some version exclusive Pokemon. And because of the day and night thing, some Pokemon spawn at night, some Pokemon spawn in the day. That's about it. Yeah, it's a pretty standard Pokemon affair. I mean, I was looking at the plot of this to remind myself of it, and there isn't much. Like, it sounds obvious because obviously it's a Pokemon game. It's aimed primarily at kids. So I'm not expecting like Final Fantasy levels of lore here, but I have summarized the plot in 5 lines of text, and none of them are complete sentences.
I mean, that's most of your vocabulary,
Sounds about
isn't
right.
it?
I've used so many words that I know, at least 8 words. To quickly whiz through the plot, you are a trainer moving into a town. Your task is to beat the 8 Pokemon gyms of different types and then beat the Elite Four, which, to use typical gaming conventions, is like a boss rush. And then you beat Lance, the Pokemon champion, who you met at the Lake of Rage, where the famous Red Gyarados is from... Is that the first ever like shiny that everyone can get? And I think Lance might have even been the Dragon Gym type Dragon Elite Four member from Gen 1. But once you've beaten that, you are the Pokemon champion of the region, and your rival, it turns out through a bizarre flashback scene in an event with Celebi, which you can't do anymore because the Nintendo DS servers are offline. Turns out your rival is Team Rocket leader Giovanna's son. The end.
Well, there you go.
That is the entire plot. But we mentioned the gyms there. The gyms in the Pokemon games will typically, instead of just being like a bit of a gauntlet of Pokemon battles, sometimes they are just that. It's just one battle after another. Most of the time, it's some sort of puzzle themed around pushing blocks or spot the difference or use the right move or something.
Or, if it's the electric gym in Gen 1, choose the right random 2 bins in a row.
Yep, there is. The hint for that gym, by the way, it's like one switch is directly next to the other. Fun fact, there is a glitch in the game where 50% of the time that is just incorrect, and it will just always be in the top left.
Yeah, well, there you go.
There you go. Who did you guys have on your team? What was your starters?
Cyndaquil.
Cyndaquil?
The fire one is what I would rather call it. And what I did call it, because I wasn't learning Gen 2 names.
The fire one. Alex?
I had Chikorita and I named it Lettuce.
Yeah. Yeah. I picked Totodile and I named it Feraligatr. So I named it Thick because its final evolution, Feraligatr, its sprite has got giant ass cheeks.
That's why you chose it, isn't it?
That's exactly. What do you think I want to look at all game?
True.
I'm just going to quickly find it in case. Have you seen it, Joey?
No.
All right, hang on.
No, I haven't.
Back sprite.
I think to speak to the speaking to the story a little bit, what you tend to find in Pokemon games is you have the one. Jesus wept.
That ass though.
God damn.
You have the overarching story, or go to these 8 random gyms, defeat these 8 random people, defeat the Elite Four. But then every town you go to has little self-contained stories that a lot of the time you have to do to be able to progress, because the game is very linear. It's built to be linear, and they need to have ways of stopping you from progressing too quick at too low of a level. So I think, is it Azalea Town where Bellsprout Tower is?
Yes, yeah, with the ruins of Alf.
Yeah, you can't get out of there until you've visited Bellsprout Tower. Bellsprout Tower is where you learn Flash, which you need to be able to use through caves. So each town has little somethings to do. Like you say, you got the ruins of Alf, which is the unknown alphabet. You've got.
How have I never made that connection? That's alphabet. Jesus Christ.
Oh, but yeah, no, like you say, it's never going to be. It's never going to be Dante's Inferno kind of writing. It's never going to be Stephen King writing, but there is a bit of story there, and it's enough to keep you engaged, especially when you're younger. Because I think especially with today's generations, trying to get kids to remember and pay attention to a long overarching story over again. That I think to complete Pokemon, you're probably looking 60 hours,
something like that. But I
give
will
or
say,
take.
the later games do actually have some pretty decent writing. There is actually one story in Scarlet and Violet that's really compelling. It's basically just my dog Pokemon is dying and I'm doing everything I can to save it. That's the entire story, and it lasts about 8 challenges, and it's like kind of heartbreaking at points. But this, travel to the town, find the legendary dogs is a weird B plot. Like Alex said, there's little self-contained stories, but there isn't really a big overall story in this one I found, or at least not one that was of particular note. The writing improves in later games, but at the point of this generation, when it first came out in Pokemon Gold and Silver, I think the series was very much finding its feet. Developers have even gone on an interview saying that that they didn't think the games would make it past Gen 1. So,
I don't think the lack of a story is a bad thing, though, because I feel like with the limitation of the hardware it's on, particularly following the formula of Gen 1 and the limitation of that hardware, the story is less about lore and deep plots and more about guiding you from A to B to C to D to E to F to G. And it does that pretty well.
Yeah.
Like I said, it felt very slow, but I always kind of knew where to go. I never felt like I was being led down the garden path for no reason. And I think that's actually to the game's credit, because you're right, there isn't much of a story. And I think if this was a new IP, that would feel far more prevalent. But because it's Pokemon, because you kind of have this gameplay loop of walk in the grass, catch the Pokemon, level up the Pokemon, customize your team to give you the best possible outcome for the one after the puzzle, rinse and repeat. I don't think it's a problem that the story is, well, as far as I got for the story, go out, someone tells you to do something small and minor, you do that, you tick it off. Someone else tells you to do something, you tick it off. So etc. etc. I don't think it's a problem.
Yeah, I also think to that end, it's certainly in the older generations of games, and yeah, there's probably a certain element of hardware limitation here, but I think a lot of the story comes down to the individual player and the team they pick. In terms of like, I want to do a run where I only pick cute Pokemon, for example, and you have the experiences of going through those battles and that gyms with a million different team combinations with different abilities and different moves and different stats and different items. There's a whole myriad of options, but it feels like with this game, they're just like, there's a loose semblance of plot, and the player is left to fill in the blanks in a good way.
I think part of it as well is when they were developing things like Legends Arceus, Violet and Scarlet, whatever the ones after that, Alpha and Beta or Zeta or whatever the hell they were.
Sigma and Alpha.
Sigma and Omega, yeah.
Ligma and Slugma.
There is a Slugma, isn't there?
There is a Slugma.
There is a Slugma. At that point of making Pokemon games, they know that they're not necessarily making these games for the 10-year-olds playing in the middle of the night when they should be in bed. They're playing it for they're making it for the 30-something-year-olds who remember the original Pokemon and are still playing it in the middle of the night when they should be going to bed. So they can put more story. They can deal with things like the loss of pets and what have you, because the target audience has shifted with the game.
Yeah.
What an astute point, Alex. Well done. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's my brain power for the day. Pokemon Go Burr.
The game has some bangers, by the way, in terms of music. Just thinking about stuff to talk about. Azalea Town has got an absolute slapper of a track.
Played it on mute.
My favorite track. My favorite track is the one that goes do 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 do, which could be any of them.
That's the Pokemon theme. That's the one.
It is.
It's Gen 1. Fuck, I was
That's
thinking
the
of the
Pokemon
Pokemon Center
Center.
theme.
Yeah, I played it on mute.
Yeah.
Sorry. I played it on mute because I played it last thing before I was going to bed. So
Every time.
yeah, basically.
Is there much else to talk about with this game?
Yeah, there's loads.
Where do you go when you're saving the game?
Pokemon Center. Do you stand in the
do you
middle of
stand
the
in the
Pokemon
middle?
Center?
Yep.
Yep,
There it
every
is.
time.
On the Pokeball.
Yeah. Joey?
My Game Boy, my DS had this neat thing where I could hack it to look like my Google Pixel, and it had its own menu that said save. So
That's amazing.
with it being a legit copy, you know it's legit, but anywhere I fucking wanted to, Alex.
That's amazing considering the hardware limitations of the device.
Oh no,
but...
you can save wherever you want in the game, especially the legitimate versions that we all played.
Yeah.
Save wherever you want, but there seems to be there's some discourse online between old generation Pokemon fans of, do you save in front of Nurse Joy or do you save on the Pokeball?
I've seen people save out the front of the Pokemon Center.
The correct answer is on the Pokeball.
On the Pokeball, because there's a little dot for you to stand on.
Yeah.
Who was in your party?
Obviously for Alligator, I had Mareep because I love Mareep. Let me try and find something here.
I think by the time I got to that, by the end of it, I think I had a Pidgey, I had a Chikorita, I had a Butterfree.
None of us finished our runs for this, did we?
No, got that.
No. Okay.
I had a Mareep. I had a Wooper. So I love Wooper.
Wooper's elite.
I had 3 Pokemon in my party.
Oh yeah, who were they?
3, and they were Cyndaquil.
Yep.
And never evolved that one. I had Pidgey.
Yep.
Never evolved it. And I had I had a Caterpie that I evolved through Metapod and Butterfree. Because when you play Pokemon, you're a fool if you don't go Butterfree as soon as you can, because its psychic powers everyone up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But can I present one counterpoint to that?
Go on.
There is a specific Pokemon. That's all it is just this. It's just hang on.
You post a lot of visual stuff in this audio-based podcast.
It's just Happy with a cowboy hat.
It's just cowboy and a cowboy hat. That's all it is.
What's wrong with that?
Just keep him as that. He's perfect.
Well, no, because he doesn't turn into Butterfree and be able to fuck everyone up.
But he can say yeehaw.
No, he can't. He says Caterpie.
If you go with Wooper, when you go into battle with it, he turns to look at you going, what the fuck?
He pogs.
There's a face behind in that faux picture.
Yeah, for some reason. Yeah, they've done the...
I thought it was a problem with my monitor when you said
I thought it was a hair on my screen.
Yeah.
But no, I had for Alligator, I had Mareep, and I had an Unknown by the time I got done with my attempted run of Heart Gold.
Well, there you go.
See, yeah. I wanted to stick with Unknown, but then I found out the only move it ever learns is Hidden Power. I ended with Togepi. That's where I ended.
Oh my god.
I had a Togepi in my party.
And how far did you get?
I got 4 gyms before my first save corrupted, and then I got to 2 gyms.
Sorry, you got 4 gyms in 6 hours?
Yeah.
Are you good? Do we need to talk?
I'm good.
I got 2 in 9. 2 in 9 hours.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I got 2 in 10.
Bloody hell.
I was taking my time. I was enjoying myself.
How far did you get, Alex?
I beat the Bug Gym, which is the second one, and then that was about it.
Nice. I got a little bit further than that. I found a bridge that was full of bikers. A route, that was full of bikers, and I got there. And then I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm tired of it being so slow.
No, I'm done.
I think Alex has just put a photo of his team.
Look at
There
that.
you go. Lettuce,
yeah.
Mareep, Togepi, Chicken, the Pidgey, Geodude, and Wooper.
That Geodude's stacked.
It's pretty
Oh,
stacked. Yeah, like I said, I did 4 gyms on my Soul Silver, which was first one was the flying gym, second one was the bug gym, then it was the fairy / normal type gym, and then it was the ghost gym, which was entirely Ghastly, Haunter, Gengar. That gym. I love Haunter. He is a pain in the ass to fight if you have nothing to counter him, which you don't at that point in the game. And Gengar is even worse. Thank God he's only got the one of them.
Hooray!
Yeah, good stuff. I'm gonna go to. Let's just take it to goals and thoughts. Let's start off with Joey.
I can't recommend this because it's so hard to get hold of. I don't enjoy that these games aren't widely available. There's no reason that they shouldn't be on Switch Online. No reason whatsoever. The fact that we all had to go out and spend hundreds of pounds on DSs, which we did, really did,
Wink.
and then spend more money, wank, yes, definitely, on wank on the copy of the DS game, means that I feel that this game is far too inaccessible to recommend. If it was just the game itself, yeah, probably. But I can't in good faith go and tell someone that they should play this when they have to put a King's Ransom out to do so. In terms of the score, a 6. It's a Pokemon game, but it, like I said, it felt like a particularly slow one. Didn't have that nostalgia factor for me. I would expect someone who'd played Silver or Gold. I just thought the games were Pokemon Heart and Pokemon Soul.
One's very funky.
Anyone who's played Silver or Gold before, I imagine that you'd have a really good time with this because it feels like a really good redoing of them. But I didn't have that, so I don't have the nostalgia factor. So a 6 and a not recommend from me, please, Timothy.
Alrighty, Alex.
Yeah, to echo Joey there, I wouldn't be able to recommend it either, simply because of how hard it is to get. I mean, when we were shopping around to buy our legitimate copies of it, I was looking on CEX, which for our American listeners is a second-hand video game retail store in the UK that we often refer to as Sex, and it's very funny, haha. The cartridges for Soul Silver, Heart Gold, you're looking about £140,
and I
think a working DS was somewhere in the realms of 80, which is not far off its original price when it released. Because I think it released at about 100.
Old Nintendo hardware has a really weird trend of the secondhand market pricing of its scales with the value of Pokemon games specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's too hard to get hold of. If you've got the time and you want to be a criminal, there are ways. We don't endorse that, obviously.
Maybe you can explain that to us what they are later, Alex, when we're not recording, because we have no idea what you could possibly mean by that.
I've never even heard of a crime.
A criminal.
Are you a crime, a criminal?
Can we just a quick deterrent before I go to my score? Did you see that the you wouldn't steal a car?
Yes, the
anti-fraud video.
Pirated.
The font was pirated.
No, that's amazing.
Anyway, for me, I've got the nostalgia, and I genuinely enjoyed playing it and I found myself thinking, right, I'll go and put an hour into Pokemon, and then it was 4 hours later and what have you. It does bring back a lot of nostalgia. It's just way too difficult to get hold of now. I'm gonna give it a 7.
7 out of 10.
Keyboard works.
I like that you were saying, I have the nostalgia and I had a great time, but you gave it 1 more than me, who doesn't have the nostalgia and thought it was fine.
Yeah. for me, Gen 2 has some of my favorite Pokemon designs. I love Wooper, I love Mareep, I love the Jumpluff, Skipluff, and Hoppip, like Pokemon. I think they're great. The legendary dogs are really funny. I think it's especially funny that they all know roar. So when the games first came out, they could technically roar themselves out of existence because roar allows them to flee. And typically, what would happen is they would run away and they'd relocate themselves on the map. But if they use roar, they would just run away and not come back, making them impossible to catch. So I don't know if they kept that in. I really hope they did. But yeah, it feels like a Gen 2 remake with a lot of quality of life stuff. And yes, I would love it. I would love for it to be faster. One thing I know they did that I really appreciate is give you the running shoes immediately.
Yes, that is true.
Big plus for that.
Still felt slow.
It still felt very fucking slow. Yeah, no, it's good. It's a good game. I'd probably give it like a 7 out of 10. And yeah, like Joey said, if you've played Gen 2 previously and for some reason not played Heart Gold or Soul Silver, because let's be fair, this is the definitive Gen 2 experience. Go play it. You will probably have a great time with it. If you're interested in any other Pokemon moving forward, honestly, just start with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, or maybe even Fire Red and Leaf Green, the Game Boy Advance remakes of Gen 1. You'll probably have a much better time.
The one reason you'd have a better time with Red and Green and Blue? The missing no glitch.
That's not in Fire Red Leaf Green anymore.
Well, that's why I said red or green or blue.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said Fire Red.
So the missing no glitch was near about 2/3 into the game. There was an island, and if you used Surf, which meant that you can ride on the back of a water Pokemon and just went up and down the right-hand side of this island, you would get a glitch called Missing No, and it literally means missing number. And if you killed it, the 7th item in your inventory would get duplicated 99 times, meaning you could have 99 Master Balls and you could just be out throwing them at whatever you want and not worrying about having to lose it.
It's amazing. Good stuff.
It is amazing.
All right, cool. Well, that gives us an average of 6.666 recurring for Heart Gold, Soul Silver. The Pokemon is the devil. What are we doing next time, Joey? Next episode?
Fuck if I know.
It's the other one we're recording today.
It's a cutscene. No, it's not. So thanks, I hate it.
Yeah.
Thanks, I hate it. We're watching it.
Very well.
It's about a clown. It might be shit. Yeah, that's what we're doing next week. Watching it.
Great,
Ooh,
Alex. What's our
clown.
next? And I would say mainline, but we've agreed to just call them Game Club episodes.
Our next Game Club episode is going to be Devil May Cry 5.
Wow.
Them devils
Very
be
exciting.
crying.
That one has been on
The devils be crying after our score for this episode was 666.
This game has been on the running order for about 3 years. So I'm excited for it.
I'm yet to start it.
You've already completed it, Tim.
I have finished it. But the audience don't know that, Alex.
Tell us your thoughts now.
Listen to them in the episode. Thank you.
4 weeks time. Bye. Love you.
Bye.
Mwah, 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 mwah.
Look at that.
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 Tim, you thought about a skit
Great.
for this episode?
Oh, I haven't even written notes, let alone a skit.
Can I suggest something for a skit while we're on recording?
Absolutely, and then we'll
Can
just
we-
put this at the end.
Can Alex and I be your mum and dad, and you be a 10-year-old, and we'd be like, "Oh, it's happy birthday, Tim! 10 years old. Get out, start cockfighting."
It's illegal cockfighting.
Yeah.
All right,
Listen, your mum's got to go and shag the local professor.
Alex is your mum, by the way.
All right, sweet.
He doesn't know what a dad is. So.
This episode contains spoilers for episodes for Pokemon.
Contains spoilers for Alex.
Wait, what?
But no, I haven't
yeah.
thought of a skip.
But I thought that would be a good skit. We can record it after. You can put this whole planning bit at the end. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Does that work for you, Alex? Are you all right being Tim's mum?
Yeah, why not?
I'm just gonna get this put in now, just so I don't forget. This episode of the Game Club. Jesus Christ! This episode of the Game Club. I was gonna get it that time. Stop.
The Game Club cock.
Oh my god!
Oh my Game Club cock.
We done?
Let's find out.
All right. This episode of the Game Club God damn it. This episode of the Game Club podcast contains spoilers for Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver.
You cut out on mine. I think you will have on the recording. Do you want to do it again?
I've cut out. I was talking very loudly.
No, I don't know what happened. Alex, was it the same for you?
Yeah.
I know you guys are yanking my chain here.
It's up to you. If you want the quality of the podcast to be excellent, I would re-record it.
This is the new skit. We don't need to do another one at the end. This episode of the Game Club pod contains spoilers for Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver.
The body Pokemon and the Tukajib.
Hello and welcome to the Game Club pod.
We haven't had a spoiler warning.
I just did 2 of them.
None of them worked.
I know they did. I looked at my border box and saw it lit up green.
Well, no, genuinely, you cut out. So
I don't believe you.
Well, you don't have to, but I'll behave, and I'm sure Alex will too.
I don't believe you. I'm not. I'll do it in post.
Look, I'll go on mute.
That means nothing. But you haven't got on mute. I can see a mute icon on Alex's, and I can't see one on yours. I'm not taking the bait.
Tim, I'm on.
I'm not taking the bait. There is no mute icon on your Discord.
I'll send you the mute icon, you and I had to unsend, take it off so that I can send you this. But look, right there, mute icon.
It still didn't come up for me. I'm not buying it, dude. I'm not buying it. I'm not taking the bait.
We've been recording for 5 minutes and so far we've had 2 failed attempts at a spoiler warning.
If they haven't failed, I did them successfully. I'm not taking the bait because you do it.
Do you want us to both leave the room?
No.
Joey said in WhatsApp, I'm on mute until we get a spoiler warning.
You're not on mute, though. There's no mute icon.
Wait, I've got this.
Look, there's no mute icon. Joey's calling me. It makes no odds if you... Okay, now the microphone's muted. I can see he's muted now. All right, he's FaceTiming me, everyone. Alex, go off server mute.
You could, Joey's on server mute because I've server muted him.
Yeah, unserver mute him real quick. I've lost the flip thing. How do I do it? Look, no mute. No mute.
Just do the fucking
This episode of the Game Club podcast contains spoilers